Hello, my name is Matheus. I am a student at Angupinda, and I'd like to ask you a question. Do you believe we live in a prejudiced society? A lot of people hear this question and fully believe that the answer is no, thinking that prejudice is an issue of the past that has long been fixed. But that is evidently untrue. Prejudice is still very prevalent in our society to this day. The only difference is that it has become more hidden, or, in other words, people have become better at hiding it in plain sight. Despite freedom from prejudice and discrimination being a human right, assured by Article 2 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, is still very prevalent in our society, and without action, this will only worsen. Prejudice is a very vast topic, and one that is also very important. Today I will be focusing specifically on how it affects our schools and our students. As Article 2 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights states, everyone is entitled to all the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration, without distinction of any kind, such as race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status. As such, it is not something that will ever be up for debate again, and in no situation should it be allowed without due punishment. However, it still keeps happening a lot in our day-to-day, and a lot of times, no one even hears about it. There is one place where we can see discrimination happening very clearly, one place where it really shouldn't be happening: schools. It is very worrying to see a place where people should be learning to be themselves become a place where people are afraid of judgment due to the way they were born. It is not uncommon to see people saying blatantly discriminatory phrases without shame, or see people being laughed at, or have terrible things said about them behind their backs, just due to the apparent horrible crime of being born differently. As reported by G1 in 2022, a group of students in the countryside of São Paulo were reported by fellow classmates due to their racist and Nazi comments. The article mentions, students exchanged racist, homophobic, and Nazi-related messages, as well as sharing pictures and phrases of Adolf Hitler and Benito Mussolini. This case ended up going in a few news outlets, but was eventually covered up by the school and forgotten by most of the public. Most types of discrimination are in some form illegal. In writing, racism, homophobia, and other types of prejudice are not allowed. However, people can still be openly discriminatory and get away with it, arguing that it's just a joke, you shouldn't take it so seriously. But that argument can't hold up. Because even when we're joking, we tend to try not to cross certain lines to not make the other person feel bad. So why, when we're talking to the people who are most vulnerable, those who are already being berated by these kinds of words, are we so quick to turn a blind eye and act with an "it can't be helped" attitude? It is also important to remember that if bullying is not challenged, it will contribute to a society where bullying is tolerated, where the bystanders feel afraid of speaking up in fear of becoming the next targets, and the targets get no justice and are left to fend off on their own. Now you may be thinking, but what can I do about it? And it is actually very simple. You, and anyone who wishes to create a better world for future generations, where people don't have to be afraid of being who they are, have to call out any kind of discrimination you see. We cannot stay quiet when witnessing these things and hope it fixes themselves with time, or leave it to the next generation to fix it. We must take action, and we must take it as soon as possible. Discrimination is an issue that we should nip in the bud, because if we let it grow, it will eventually become much harder to stop it than it did last time. In short, discrimination is something we can see growing slowly. And if we don't take action against it, it will keep growing, and one day it will become just like the old days, where those who were discriminated against had very few rights and could be blatantly discriminated against with no repercussions for the aggressor. As Maya Angelou once said, prejudice is a burden that confuses the past, threatens the future, and renders the present inaccessible. Therefore, discrimination is an issue that I believe many people to be very adamant about, and I hope we can focus on it to create a better world for our future. Now, as my speech comes to a close, I would like to thank everyone for listening, and I hope we can all reflect on this issue for our lives. Now I would like to say goodbye and wish everyone for a great rest of their days.